would like to welcome you all as Encounter Athens, co-organizers of the workshop in Athens, in the School of Architecture and our workshop. To start, I would like to thank all of you in advance for contributing to the discussions in the meeting. I would like to thank all the people that worked for the workshop and will work the following days. People from collective kitchens, from cooperatives that will work for it. And I would like to thank, of course, Antipode Journal of Radical Geography for supporting and making possible this workshop. And finally, we would like to thank the School of Architecture and the Department of Urban and Regional Planning for supporting the workshop and providing us with this great space and all necessary infrastructure to make the workshop. So I would like to call Sofia as the president of the department to say a few words for the opening.
Good afternoon, esteemed colleagues, dear friends and students. I'd like to welcome you all to Athens city, a city that is facing today the crisis on economic, social and spatial level. Our university, and particularly the School of Architecture, have always been sensitive to social issues. We always shared the view that social matters have to be at the core of spatial analysis and planning, urban planning. The organizers of this workshop on crisis regime in cities of Southern Europe follow this intellectual and academic tradition. I would like to thank them cordially on behalf of the Department of Urban and Regional Planning of our School of Architecture, to encourage them to continue actively their initiatives in the future. I wish you all to have a very fruitful works, and we anticipate with great interest your results. Good luck.
Thank you. Okay, so some practical issues. The workshop will be held in this room for 3 days. There is a chance, depending on the attendance of the public event, to move somewhere else, but there will be information about it. Most possibly we will be here. So, about the workshop. The idea for this workshop came around 1 year ago. By that time, the recent crisis had evolved in a new devastating reality experienced by the vast majority of us in our everyday lives. And phenomena like new extreme poverty, threatening broad social groups, massive unemployment, political oppression, on the other hand, xenophobia and racism were different phases of this crisis. And they were expressed in the most aggressive ways in the neighborhoods of big cities like Athens. Sadly, 1 year later, these days, we're experiencing a climax of these phenomena and practices, and I think this will give an input for our discussion later on. We also considered that for the countries of the European South, the crisis itself could be perceived as a common context. Despite the particularities, and although it broke out in different ways in each country, its causes, its consequences, and the policies adopted in order to address it seem to follow similar patterns. Following a long period of neoliberal reforms that mostly led to this crisis, further aggressive adjustments are imposed, both from international and domestic actors and interests, and formed in austerity programs that include, amongst others, the elimination of labor rights, the minimization of social welfare, massive privatization programs. And all of this portrayed as a unique, inevitable solution. Under a state of emergency, always, more authoritarian policies are adopted, often violating or abolishing basing human, political and social rights and leading to social and economic collapse. But this time, from 2009 onwards, has also been a time of new political and social questions being raised, or of some not so new being rediscovered, ranging from the questioning of the dominant idea of economic development, from demands of social and economic justice, to the issue of political participation, power and control in the central and the local level. And it hasn't been just a matter of political discussion or questioning the dominant neoliberal agenda and the austerity programs. It has also been a time of political and social action, expressed, for example, in a variety of movements, most notably in the Squares movement, the spread across the Mediterranean and further. So in this context, we believe that cities, for once more, become the main places to accommodate both the discontent and the struggle. And in these conditions, as described before, of increasing poverty and minimization of welfare provisions, a wide range of urban social movements is emerging, additionally to more traditional forms of political action, which is still there and intensifying. These movements are trying to address the pressing needs, not only of the vulnerables, the so-called vulnerable groups, but are trying to address the needs of broader social groups, including the former middle classes. As a response to this crisis, new survival strategies, solidarity practices, and social networks are being created locally, regionally, nationally, and maybe internationally. These movements and practices acquire multiple forms and organizational structures, and although they are territorially based, it seems that their claims relate to all scales of decision-making. So these claims and actions challenge the current conditions of exclusion and inequality and introduce new collective forms of organizing everyday life in the city. And it's in this context that we believe that the response of South European urban social movements to the crisis raises some new challenging questions. So what is the intention of the workshop? It is to provide, first of all, an opportunity for exchanging experiences concerning the crisis in Southern Europe and exploring alternatives. The main goals of the workshop are to explore from a critical viewpoint the impact of the crisis, the dominant policies implemented, as well as new issues and novel social claims that are emerging. Secondly, to bring together both activists from existing or emerging social movements and scholars in order to exchange ideas, to exchange experiences from concrete practices, initiatives and struggles, and to collectively think about alternatives for radical action. So our intention from the beginning was not to organize a strictly academic workshop. We believe that on times like this, it is crucial to learn from each other, to learn from experiences, and experiment on producing our collective knowledge. So the workshop will start today with an introductory session on crisis regimes in cities of Southern Europe, a general presentation. Then it is organized in 3 thematic sessions we consider highly important. The first of the thematic sessions will be on ultra-neoliberal urban development projects and resisting a reaction against it. The second will be on the issue of housing in the crisis. And the third will emphasize on the local as a reference for new mobilizations, solidarity networks and actions. So these thematic sessions will include short presentations from invited movements of the four countries, and then we will have a time for discussion. So today, I forgot to say about the public event we're having on Friday evening with Professors Margit Meyer, Buenaventura de Souza Santos, and David Harvey. And finally on Saturday evening we will have a closing session trying to bring together all discussions and ideas and thoughts from the previous ones. So today's introductory session aims to unpack the notion of crisis regimes. We had a question of whether using this term, as the term regimes seems a bit strict, but what we want to do is by bringing together a range of phenomena and transformations, like the new arrangements of governance, state of emergency idea, the further deregulation policies, the austerity measures imposed. We wish to open the discussion on whether and how these constitute a new political, economic, and social reality, and not just a situation of a case of emergency. So we are particularly interested in the spatial dimensions of this reality, from the scale of everyday life to the transnational scale of relations and differentiations or similarities. So we will have a presentation from each country. We have a problem with the...
No, it's okay.
It's okay?
We have internet.
Okay. Then we will start with Mark.